Hi, my name is Frederick McCoy. I'm from Las Vegas, California. No, I'm not. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada.
How long you been cruising for?
My first cruise was in 1973, so that's a very long time, I think. I can't even add those numbers up. That's how long it's been.
1973.
Yeah.
Well, what's the longest cruise you've been on?
The longest cruise I've ever been on is 120 days. It was a round the world cruise. It was with Princess Cruise Line. And we started in Miami and went through the Panama Canal. We did South America. Then we went over to New Zealand and we did Australia. Then we went up to South Asia and that area, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Japan, and God knows what else, Cambodia, and then we went to India and the Arabian countries, and then we went around the southern part of Africa, so it was a really fantastic trip. And then we ended up back in Miami after 120 days at sea. And then the most important thing about that is that when you're on a cruise ship for that long with people, because on the Princess Cruise Line, one of the things that happens is you're at an assigned table. So you sit at this table with your 8 guests, for the whole 20 days. You can change tables if you choose to, but once you sit down at a table and you got a really nice group of people, good conversation, you kind of enjoy talking with them, you enjoy being with them, then you kind of bond together, and you become like a little tiny family thing. So a lot of times on those long cruises, they like to stop at islands or places on the continents that are unlisted. Like you wake up and you're at a place that has no name that you have ever heard of. You go, where did you guys make this place up? And sometimes they do. Sometimes we're on a cruise, and what they do is they pull into this place the next day, and then you see all the crew people, bunches of them leave off, and they go out and they set up a place on the beach, and then they bring people off the ship to the beach, and they have barbecue chicken, ribs, that kind of stuff. And then sometimes they'll have all this music, reggae music sometimes or whatever, but they'll be playing this beach music and stuff. And so it's like, they made this place up,
Wow, that's crazy. How long is your average cruise?
Most cruises are like 14 days. I don't tend to do that many 7-day cruises, but I have friends that will cruise with me, and so they like to do 7-day cruises. 14 days is kind of long for them. They work, and when people work, they tend to get a certain number of days off, and what they do, they want to do many things. And so if you only got 30 days, you do a 7-day cruise, you want to go visit some family members, then you want to vacation for a while, then you want to just lay back and relax for a while. And so they don't want to do 14-day cruise because half of their vacation is gone. And they say, oh, I don't like this, So it's okay, A lot of cruises will extend out towards 30 days, 31 days and stuff like that. But that's not really normal. Most cruises are 14 days, and I may do back-to-back cruises. So it's do the same thing again for another 14 days. So you can't really say that that's 14 different kind of, days. It's 14 days of a cruise that you do twice.
Do you ever get bored of it?
No, never. I can't remember. Now, I've had some difficult days on cruise ships where people are, not friendly and things like that. There are other times in which you're on a cruise ship and everyone speaks the language other than yours.
You go on those cruises?
Oh, yeah. I do Italian cruises with Costa Cruise Line, and they will consist of half the people are French people, and the other half are Italian, and then there's you. And maybe, 8, 10, 12 other English-speaking people. Everyone, not everyone, but all the staff people usually speak pretty good English. And then many of the passengers will speak English too, but you have to find them. You got to weed them out. And even when you do, they may be in a group of 8 or 9 people, and 2 of them speak pretty good English. And so you run into all 9 of them, but only 2 of them speak English. And so you're constantly, running into them and saying, hey, how you doing and stuff. But yeah, that happens to you sometimes.
Wow.
And it's okay. You kind of do a lot of your own private stuff. Like on those days, I'll do audio books, catch up with my books that I want to read, or not read, but audio books. And so I'll do stuff like that. I like to do Sudoku puzzles and stuff. So, I just do a lot of personal loan, do my own little thing. Mostly you will get on a cruise like that because you want to, the places they're going are places that you want to go to. Like I did a Costa cruise out of Genoa, Italy. And we spent 2 days in Egypt, and we spent 2 days in Israel. So it was really enough time for you to really go and do some things, eat some foods at night off the shore, because most of the time you're back on the cruise ship about 5 o'clock. Well, you're not really hungry for dinner at 5 o'clock, so you didn't get to enjoy much of the food on whatever that port is.
Let's see, what's your favorite thing about cruising?
The people. On cruise ships, almost exclusively, people come on a cruise ship to get away, to enjoy, to relax, to let go of their personal concerns and problems that they have at home. So almost, if it's 500 passengers to almost 5,000 passengers, the majority of the people on that cruise ship are there for fun, to enjoy things. And so they come with a happy attitude. And that happy attitude explodes when there are other people that are happy also. So the greatest part about cruising is that you're in an environment that people are happy. They come with a happy attitude. And when people are happy, it's amazing the energy that you give each other. People who are sick tend to get a little bit welder, I won't say get well, but a welder than they were before because of all that positive energy. So that's my most favorite thing of all, is that this is a world in which most of the people are pushed into that happiness. They may not be a happy person, but because everyone else is happy, they start to enjoy the happiness that's going on around them.
Okay. So, about how long do you spend on cruises out of the year?
I'm pretty much a cruise junkie, and so I cruise between probably a minimum of 8 months and a good year in terms of finances, about 10 months. I've once done 11 months on a cruise ship in a 12-month period of time. If I could, what you're really asking there, if I could, I would live on a cruise ship. Probably not a cruise ship, but just live out here cruising all the time.
Sounds like you basically do live on a cruise ship. Live on cruise ships.
Pretty much. And that's my purpose, because like I said, the environment is such a happy environment. And we all want to live a happy life. We don't want our bodies, depraved by diseases and illnesses and things like that. And one of the things about cruise ship is if you got positive energy yourself, you got all the people around you that's always presenting positive energy. Those rays and feelings and things enter in your body, and it helps your body to kind of stay healthier. That's a philosophy that may be true or may not be true, but for me, it's true.
Okay. And how do you pay for all your cruises? Because you said you've been cruising for.
I have a retirement annuity plan that pretty much helps most of the time. And then I haven't started. I've been very fortunate. I have not had to use up my savings more than 1 or 2 times. Once in a while, I get carried away and I want to do a more exclusive. When you're doing 100 and some day cruises, they're fairly expensive. And if you haven't saved up for them, then they take a big chunk out of your budget for that year. And then now you're at the mercy of, I can't go anywhere. So I try to save up money to do the larger cruises. But the 14-day type cruises are pretty regularly. They're always, cruise lines are always calling you. When you cruise like I do, cruise lines call you all the time. Or they're sending you emails, or they just getting in touch with you. If you're on the cruise ship, I go to my room at night, there's a little thing up there telling you that if you come down and talk with them tomorrow, maybe they could offer you a deal, for some future cruise, or just staying on the cruise ship, not getting off where you're getting off. We'll help you with your airfare and stuff if you will stay on the cruise ship with us for the next cruise. So.
Have you done that before? Done the same cruise
Oh yeah, I do that all the time. Like South America. Last year in South America, I came over with your parents from Barcelona, and we stopped in Houston. And by the time we got to Houston, they had bugged me so much about these cruises in South America and offered me such good rates to go and help with my airline fares, that I went to South America. But by the time I got to South America, they had talked me into doing 2 back-to-back 14-day cruises. So I took off from Santiago and went over to Buenos Aires, turned around, stayed on the cruise ship, turned around and came back. And then they were offering me, won't we do this again? We like you so much. It's not really true. They like my money so much. They wanted me to do it again, but I had to go home. Some stuff going on, I have siblings, brothers and sisters, and they require some attention. Every once in a while, they're doing something that require you to be at home.
So have you always had this passion for traveling, or did it just start after you retired, or
It really came from retirement because my job had me doing a lot of traveling around the world. But when you're working, you don't have the pleasure of doing your work and then going out and having fun, doing things, seeing things, dinners and stuff like that. Everything is about completing the task that's associated with that job. And so I had promised myself that if I was blessed enough to be financially in a position where I could go out and do a lot of traveling, then I would do that because I just wanted to do it. And my other thing too was I think that a lot of times you'll start off on a journey kind of looking to see where that journey is going to take you, and then suddenly you develop acquire a taste for that journey that you're on, and that's what happened to me. Is I didn't really intend to do a lot of traveling like I'm doing. I wanted to do 5-6 cruises a year. I wanted to do some other community project things. And I started all those things up, and then I ended up 5 years into it. I've been retired for 13 years. I ended up about 5 years into it, just exploding into traveling. The people that I met was just so fascinating. The ideas that they bring into your life, you don't execute them, but it's the thought, when you sit down, like I'm sitting here talking with you, those are kind of different impressions of life, that you're experiencing. And so it really ups the whole experience,
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna meet wonderful people, and beautiful people, and they're happy sometimes to meet you too. To know about your experiences so that they can see and how they want to adapt that into things that they want to do in their future. So a lot of times my siblings, my sisters will travel with me. My daughter and my youngest son has never been on a cruise with me, but yeah, I just can't get him out here. He traveled a lot. He played ball and professional ball, and that required him to be away from home a lot. I think that he's just enough of that. So any other questions?
Do you see the same people on cruises? I know,
I
you
run into
run
the
into
same,
people.
yes, oh yes. On this cruise alone, I've run into maybe 8 or 10 people that I've cruised multiple times with before. I've a lot of times you'll run into people that you were on a cruise at some point before, but in this cruise there are 8 people that I've run across that I've cruised with 3 or 4 more times. You know, we go to
Wow.
laughing and talking, and other people standing by, we go to listening to us talk about, you know, the 3 cruises that we were on before, what they, you know, comparing them to this cruise, or the itinerary of this cruise and so forth. And they'll go, what the hell? Do you all belong to an organization? But, you know, we just happen to be out here. There are people who spend more time on cruise ships than I do.
Really?
I know that doesn't sound like it's possible, but yes, a great many people that just pretty much live out here. It is a fact that it's cheaper for me to cruise than it is for me to stay home in Las Vegas. To run a house, the maintenance of the house, because houses require things to go wrong, they just do. They don't pick on you individually. They just love to go wrong. And so those repairs need to be done. Then there's food. In order to cook food at home, I need to have additionally just the food. I gotta have the spices, and I gotta have the flour, and all the things that are used to prepare the meal needs to be there too, as well as the cooking utilities and so forth. So, you know, here I don't do any of those things. And they're available to me whenever I want.
True. Do you have like a favorite cruise line that you like to go on, or like a top 3?
Maybe if I talked about my top 3 since we're on Norwegian, I guess I gotta say them by default, right?
No.
No, I don't. Okay, then I won't. My top 3 would probably be Princess, which also is the least affordable cruise for someone who likes to travel as much as I do. Holland America would be my second, and there's a new cruise line. Royal Caribbean should be my first because I travel most with them. I find that they have a little of everything that I like about cruise, as well as the prices in my range. You know, I can cruise a lot with them and not go over budget. But in terms of, you know, like how favorite they are, Princess would be first, Holland America would be second. And then there's a new cruise line called MSC, that's an Italian cruise line. I really like their cruise ships. You know, I've only done 2 cruises with them, and all the cruises that I've done, but every cruise that I've been on with them, the 2 cruises I've been on with them, has been impeccable, incredible.
So what makes like a cruise a great cruise, like for you, besides just meeting?
When they have a really good layout of the ship, so that the many things that they are offering you to do, for instance, the food, the restaurants, as well as the complimentary restaurants, are very well laid out. The people that they have hired to serve you are really good. The entertainment that they have, not just the shows that they have in the big theater, but as you walk through the ship, different areas, there are a lot of times perfect musicians, you know, the piano player. I think I have a piano bar, and the person that plays the piano knows every song that has ever been written for whatever reason, and then has the voice to articulate that song in the different manners that it was, you know, sang, you know, because sometimes we all will sing a song our way, but you know, you don't relate to that guy who won't be singing that song that way. And then sometimes they'll have like musicians that's kind of, as you're walking around, they're just so talented, you know, their voice, their how they play their instruments and things like that. So to me, those things are absolutely important because, you know, you're going to do more than just eat on a cruise ship. You're going to do more than just going to a matinee show. You know, you're going to do more than just going off and doing excursions and things like that. So when a cruise ship puts together a itinerary in which they're going to really beautiful places, you know, that everyone wants to get off the ship and go and do something at that place, that's ideal. Because now what you've done is you've got the cruise ship life, as well as you've seen some islands or some cities that you enjoy. Maybe you've been there before, but you enjoy that place, and so you don't mind going back again. Or it's a new place, and it's just fantastic. You know, you can't wait to tell all your friends about, show them the pictures that you're taking. You know, then I think the one other thing that I would think that would be really important on what makes a good cruise ship is the people. Because people make the cruise ship. When they are really happy type people from a variety of life, then it's just wonderful to mingle with those people, share ideas, share experiences, talk about where you've been and what you've been, you know, and all that stuff. And that would be it. And probably other
So,
things.
do you get off at every port? I mean, you've clearly
No,
probably
no.
been to ports many
No,
times.
There are many times in which I'll go on a cruise ship and I get off maybe, but I'm not getting off to do anything. Wi-Fi. I'm going to go find some Wi-Fi, you know, to get in touch with my friends and stuff, or to chisel my friends and let them know, hey, I'm here and I know you wish you was here too, but too bad. You're working, you know, that kind of, you know, just messing with that. But yeah, there are times in which I may make a whole cruise and I really don't get off and do anything. You know, touring and stuff like that. Because, you know, once you've been to most places, you know, up near about 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 times, there's just not much that you want to do there anymore, you know. So sometimes, like, I may do Caribbean island tours and stuff like that with friends, and the obligation is to get off and go do things. But if you're with a friend who also has been to this place, you know, they've seen this itinerary, you know, for the last 15 years, then they're comfortable with we get off and just find something to do rather than we're off as a tourist.
Do you speak any languages? Like any other
No,
language?
unfortunately, I don't do a good job of speaking English yet. I'm still working on improving my English, you know. So no. You know what happens? The truth of the matter is that after years, you remember some words and what those words mean. You know, the value of those words and how to open up a conversation with people and various different languages. But I don't speak languages other than English. But, you know, the good thing about out here is that they're always, like I said, sometimes I'm on cruises that are themed cruises that's associated with that particular cruise line. And so there are hardly any English-speaking people there. Well, I won't say English-speaking people, but hardly any English people there. But there are tons of English-speaking people. So I'm very seldom in a situation in which I don't have someone that speaks English. So we can always communicate about something. And then there's always sign language. You know, with some people, you know, you don't speak English, and we go to doing signs and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for this interview. Here we go.
Well, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And good luck with your project.
Thank you.
I hope this works out really well for you.
Thanks, man.